two Thunderbolt Hellkites, along with a small Planeswalker suite of Ajani's Caller of the Pride, along with a Garruk Primal Hunter. Then he's got some spells. He's got 3 Rancors, 3 Farseeks, 3 Celestia Charms, 2 Bonfire of the Damned, along with his lands. So just a kind of mid-rangey but aggressive deck that Andrew's playing.
On our right, we have Jamie Tachiyama, who anyone with a Versus system background may recognize. He is playing Jund Control. He is also legally blind, and I believe plays with Braille on either the fronts or backs of his sleeves to be able to know which cards they are.
Correct.
Which is also, it's actually pretty incredible watching him play.
Absolutely.
So he's playing Jund Control with Olivia, Thundermaw, Hellkite, Thragtusk, Huntmaster, and Vampire Nighthawk. Has Farseek and then a variety of removal spells, a couple copies of Rakdos Return, a couple Garruks. A deck that I saw Jerry Thompson play against in the elimination rounds of California State Champions at GP San Jose. Jerry, not actually from California, but playing in the champs anyway. But yeah, a fast, in a creature-oriented metagame, certainly ramping into Olivia is a pretty good foundation for a deck.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
As you see, both players are often running. Andrew did take a mulligan to 5. That's why you see the shortage of cards in his hand. And obviously the mana issues he's having with a Smiter, a Ajani Caller of the Pride.
Ajani Caller of the Pride in hand with 2 Rootbound Crags in play.
Yes, going to be difficult. I don't think there are any filter lands coming. Jamie was able to keep his 7. He's just playing a normal game, so we're going to see a Vampire Nighthawk here on turn 3.
Which is very good against attacking decks. But Andrew, after mulliganing to 5, has just ripped a Temple Garden, which will allow him to cast his Loxodon Smiter.
And there it is, Bonk with his hammer.
Yep. Andrew falling to 18 there to play his Temple Garden on tap, and presumably will about to fall to 16.
Let's see, we could see, and we do see an attack here from Jamie. We'll likely see some sort of 4-drop, but are also potentially a removal spell.
Well, he has Huntmaster, and looks like we're going to be casting Dreadbore on the Smiter. I'm sure his mana is fine, but it certainly seems on the greedy side this game, as he's just drawn and played Gavney Township, which allows him to just cast his Huntmaster of the Fells.
There is a Gavney Township. There's also a Kessig Wolf run here as well. So he has a couple of those lands.
Sure.
And a Cavernous Souls too, which is in a way mana fixing, but it doesn't help to cast the copies of Ajani Caller of Pride, which he has 2 of.
Yes.
So.
All right. So it looks like we are playing a Overgrown Tomb tapped. It appears.
Yeah, that's a new school Overgrown Tomb.
Nighthawk in for another 2.
Let me see Jamie tapping 4 mana. It could be a Huntmaster time or Olivia. We see his
own Huntmaster.
So the old Huntmaster Wars that we saw in block constructed green matchups has begun again here between Andrew and Jamie.
Yep. A Farseek, which he can cast along with Selesnya Charm this turn.
I know it does say 4-color aggro for Andrew's deck. He does have some black mana-producing lands in his deck. He has 2 Overgrown Tombs. He also has a Blood Crypt, and those are just in his sideboard. The black card in his sideboard is just 3 Slaughter games, so he's found that relatively important to be able to cast in sideboarded games.
So Andrew just passed his turn without playing anything, allowing his Huntmaster to flip and shoot down the opposing Huntmaster. Even though both Huntmasters trigger, Jamie's triggers first because he's active player.
Correct.
And so Andrews gets to resolve first.
Because he is non-app. The old app-nap rule.
Yep. Nighthawk in again. Nighthawk is a simple but effective anti-beatdown tool. Not fancy, but definitely gets
well-designed card.
Yeah.
Well-designed. We see 5. It looks like 5 mana being tapped here.
And Thragtusk.
So Jamie's going to gain his 5 life. Thragtusk is going to sit pretty. We see Andrew does draw an Overgrown Tomb this turn, so he could Bonfire for 2 right now, but that's not all that impressive.
Well, I also think that he wants to find a way to profitably play 2 spells, which would allow his Huntmaster to trigger again. He can Farseek and Celestia Charm this turn, which is actually how he just sorted out his mana. Now the question is, can he find a way to do that, like have a profitable turn doing that, and not lose his flipped Huntmaster in the process? I mean, he can send his Wolf in, but then that just gets blocked by the Thragtusk if he goes down that road. Or he could charm the Thragtusk, which is okay.
Yeah, it's all right. He could alternatively send in his flipped Huntmaster of the Fells, which could just get single blocked by Thragtusk, and then he just gives his 4/4 +2/2, so it wins that fight.
Well, no, at that point it's a trampler, so you would just kill the Thragtusk.
Yeah,
because then you get to send the full.
Sure.
Instead of Giant Growth thing. Okay, so he's going to send in both.
And it looks like we have our blockers here. I'm going to exile that bad boy.
Yep. Not exactly sure if the Wolf got in there or not.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it may. Okay, the Wolf does look like it did jump in front of in front of somebody there. We should have a beast token coming for Thraggy Thrag.
And then we'll have our second spell of the turn, presumably here. I assume we will be Farseeking for a second source of white mana, which will allow us to turn on to cast Ajani next turn. Ajani, an underplayed Planeswalker, but instrumental in me clobbering you in the finals of the draft open.
I was wondering when you were going to bring that up. I didn't really set the line at under. I didn't think it was going to take until round 6, but yet
well,
here
I
we
haven't
are.
seen it. It was going to be mentioned the first time it was in someone's hand, so we had to wait this long.
Oh, lucky me. Thanks, Andrew. Appreciate it. Yeah. Only way you could possibly beat me is drawing that card.
Couldn't do it without you, Ajani.
Yeah.
Ajani actually won that draft open.
Yeah, it was not you.
It's not me.
It's really not you.
All right, so the Huntmaster's going to be turning back, gaining 2, and getting another Wolf.
Let's see, 2 pretty nice cards left in Andrew's hand. A Bonfire of the Damned and a Johnny Caller of the Pride.
Yep.
Now we're going to see a Bonfire of his own. Bonfire for 2, clearing out the Huntmaster and the Wolf token, and, hitting Andrew for 2 as well.
Yeah, that certainly makes his Huntmaster Ajani Gabney Township setup look a lot worse.
Yeah, he did have a plan. He was a schemer. He had plans. Look where that got him.
Yeah. Although now he can play his Blood Crypt untapped and sweep the team up here. It leaves him with just Ajani in hand against 3 or 4 cards in Jamie's hand, but I don't see another play he really has.
Yeah, got to do what you got to do,
yep.
right?
It's not pretty, but... Don't really see another path.
Yeah, putting Blood Crypt into play tap to try to save 2 damage doesn't really get the job done. Taking 3 more anyway, so...
Yeah. Well, the only argument to run it that way is in the hopes that Jamie would add another play to the board, but I think you just have to do this.
Yeah.
Knocking Jamie all the way down to 28. That Nighthawk did a lot of work.
Nighthawk and Thragtusk in combination, doing a nice job. Jamie does draw his card for his turn. As you said, he has a bunch of cards in his hand, so feeling pretty good position right now.
Yeah, no shortage. He passes.
But no play. Okay.
If his hand's just removal, then Ajani can start doing some work.
And one of the interesting things about Ajani, as we bring it up on the screen for you guys, is you can play it, and there doesn't have to be a creature in play to give it +1.
Yeah.
Which is kind of a nifty thing about it.
It is, yeah. The template on the +1 power is a little awkward, and that's to allow you basically to be able to +1 your Ojani on an empty board.
Yeah. Kind of strange that you can do that, but it is a neat thing, and he can start working his way up towards the ultimate, which has put a bunch of cats into play. Unfortunately, right now it only looks to be 7, but it's better than
Seven's
nothing.
a lot.
Yeah. So
I don't know where you're from, where 7's not a lot of tutus to make or whatever, but. Yeah, on up to 1 target creature.
Yep.
So you can target up to 0.
So Jamie, again, just no pass, no Dreadbore even to take care of that. I mean, likely just has a handful of removal. He does have quite a bit of removal in his deck, Ultimate Price, Abrupt Decay, stuff like that.
Although he has 4 Bonfires and 2 Rakdos returns, so he actually has a lot of Fireballs in his deck too to sweep this game up as well.
Okay.
So I would not be feeling comfortable if I was in Andrew's position. I wouldn't be like, oh, he's just got a bunch of lands in his hand.
And we see Jamie tapping mana right now, or at least fingering through mana.
Yeah. I feel like someone's about to get fireballed here.
Yeah, that's kind of what it feels, a bit of a Rakdos return.
Yeah.
No, nothing yet.
Nope. Just drew a Rancor. We're all dressed up with nowhere to go.
So I call it Stanker. That's what it is right now. And he draws another card. 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so that's tapping 5. That's the magical number. I feel like a Thraktos coming down. Yep.
Yep. And Jamie has so much time here to find a next spell. Restoration Angel is a little something.
Not a bad draw. I mean, yeah, Andrew has to consider main facing this, right?
Yeah, well, he needs
for
a Ajani and Gavany Township. Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually makes it big enough to block the Thraktusk.
Yeah, that's actually a pretty big deal. And it also gets to protect, or it gets to protect Ajani as well.
Yeah.
So this is a...
Assuming that somehow Jamie's hand is incapable of killing a creature, or Andrew.
Yeah, which would be a huge surprise.
I would be surprised.
There's an ultimate,
okay.
There's an ultimate price. I was gonna say I don't think he's flooding that badly.
Yeah.
It's decision time for Jamie. Does he want to attack Ajani, or go?
Well,
go
I
straight for the dome?
think you definitely just attack Johnny if you can't kill him, and presumably this does kill him.
All right. Ajani
Oh
goes
wow.
down.
Okay. Still don't have it, I guess.
He pulled too many counters off that. One seems a little low. It was on 8. There we go.
Okay.
Yeah, Thraktos is good. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah. This has not been a clinic on how good Johnny can be, but this card is powerful.
Yeah, we promise.
Yeah.
We promise. It's good. You can see Selesnya Charm drawn for the turn for Andrew, considering the ramifications of just making a 2/2 Knight right away, putting in a Johnny counter on it, and perhaps townshipping it as well, or exiling Thraktusk again. Kessig Wolf Run.
Okay. All right, well, I assume he's going to try to pump to lethal here and then get Selesnya Charm would be my best guess.
Yeah, I think that's probably what's going to occur. And Jamie will get a beast token here.
All right, and tabbing a lot of mana, or
counting through his mana, trying to get an idea. Yep, just says go. And there we see a Temple Garden drawn for Andrew. He can attempt to bluff, but right now he is looking at dead on board due to a Kessig Wolf Run. And that is it.
That is concession. So Andrew, stumbled with his mana after his mulligan to 5. Never really got any action going. Had a lot of creature pumps and not enough creatures against
Yeah, put up a
Jamie's bonfire and then additional spot removal.
Yeah, put up a better fight than I thought he would. So,
Yeah.
I have Andrew's deck list in front of me. He will be on the play for game 2. Taking a look here, 3 Pillar of Flame, not really where you want to be against Jund. I don't think it kills any of their guys, actually. It kills Huntmaster. I'll take care of that, but
Yeah.
Vampire Nighthawk, Thragtusk won't take care of those guys. Pithing Needle, also nothing great there. I mean, could take care of Planeswalkers, but didn't really, I don't think he even saw any that game.
Yep.
Brave Revelation, Rest in Peace, Thalia, Guardian of Thraben,
Yeah.
And Slaughter Games,
Yeah, and Jamie has no shortage of awesome cards to bring in here. He has 4 copies of Pillar of Flame, another Olivia, 2 Mizium Mortars, a Dreadbore, and a Vraska. So
Sure.
This is actually just more 10. Gets to cut some of his 9 out of 10s against creature decks and bring in some 10 out of 10s instead.
You trying to attack me?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Yeah,
This is a deck that beats the crap out of creature decks.
Yeah, this seems really rough.
Band Control is masquerading as a good deck against creature decks, where this is the real deal.
Yeah, this is a real. I mean, actually, I don't even know how he sized all this in because he has like no bad. I guess you can cut Garrick. It's not like Garrick and Rakdos Return are 2 easy cuts, I guess. But I mean, everything his deck is like really, really good against him.
I mean, I could see cutting is crazy to say Thundermaw Hellkite.
Oh yeah, Thundermaw.
Yeah, which is a weird thing to cut, but I could see that happening.
It's worse than other cards he has access to.
Yeah, which is just wild, but I foresee that happening.
This matchup is rough.
Yeah,
sorry, Andrew.
Yeah,
I'm sure you'll give it the old college try, but this is not a good matchup.
Step 1, keep 7 cards, please.
Yeah.
Try your hardest to keep 7 cards.
Yep.
Now, this Jund deck that Jamie is playing as these guys are shuffling up here in between games, it's a pretty popular deck across both the Open Series and in the format. Just last week in Dallas, it had a finals appearance where it ended up losing in the finals to Blue White Flash. But what do you think of this deck, which is, to your history, very, very akin to a rock deck?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of this skeleton is extremely hateful against creature decks. I think if a deck like this went up against something like Prozac's control deck, it would be in a ton of trouble because there's just too many dead cards or low impact cards. Too easy to answer what's going on. The card advantage in this deck is all, like whatever card advantage it has is just predicated on what the opponent's doing. A lot of his cards are worth multiple cards against certain opponents, like Bonfire of the Damned, Vampire, Nighthawk, Thragtusk, Huntmaster Fells. A lot of those cards are not really worth a card against other classes of opponents as well. So if you think that the metagame is just kind of in this creature-oriented place, a deck like this I think can be a very good choice.
Sure.
Just a pure blue-white Sphinx's Revelation, a bunch of counterspell deck, I think Jamie would struggle against that sort of build.
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree. And what a lot of people have been doing with their Jund decks to try to help out against those particular strategies is they have Cavern of Souls. I've seen varying numbers from 1 to 4 throughout the 75. Some of the sideboard as well. Jamie's deck list has 3 Caverns, which is kind of a concession in Blue White Flash winning last week.
Yeah.
But again, it's a deck that doesn't really have... The thing about Blue White Flash, and this is something that's overlooked, and if you ask Adam Prozac, he'll definitely tell you this, Cavern of Souls is a very natural answer for people to go to try to beat Blue White Flash. The thing people need to understand about Blue White Flash is that the deck list only really has in between 8 to 10 counterspells.
Yeah.
It's not a deck like of the past where they play 16 to 20 counterspells, and if something slips through, then it's big trouble. They play some permission, but they can get things off the board, or they have Snapcaster Mage, Restoration Angel, and Runechanter's Pike to be able to fight things that slip through the cracks. So Cavern is a nice way to go, but it's not just going to be something as simple as, just give me some Cavern Souls, I'll be fine, and be able to take care of it.
Yeah, and certainly, Sphinx's Revelation plus Supreme Verdict does a lot to sweep up the type of things that Cavern of Souls is facilitating.
So that's definitely one thing to keep in mind if you're going to try to be able to beat the Blue-White Flash deck moving forward. But it looks like both players, and thankfully for Andrew, are able to keep their 7 this game, so we're underway.
Yep. Turn 1, Temple Garden, Avacyn's Pilgrim. Jamie with a basic forest and just passes. We might see a turn 2 Loxodon Smiter.
Bong.
Bong. Let's see if this can get it done. I have my suspicions.
I also similarly suspicious.
All right. Well, no overgrown tomb tap probably means no abrupt decay, so that's something. Andrew's got a Thundermaw Hellkite in his hand too. He might have the
This is
the perfect honest man's curve.
This is the beatdowns.
Yeah.
Here, so we're gonna see. I think he's gonna play another absence holder out here. I mean, I don't think there's any reason not to. All right, he's gonna hold off. Maybe the small hedge against Bonfire. Well, I mean Bonfire for one hard cast. It's a bit of a hedge there.
Yeah.
It's gonna be our Rakdos Keyrune, I believe. No, Vampire Nighthawk.
All right, well, Thundermaw is a pretty good answer for this turn, certainly.
You see Swag Tusk drawn as well. Now this turn, are you slamming down Thundermaw? He's not.
Yeah, he's just casting Thragtusk. I think that you need to get your beats in while you can, because you definitely do not have the same type of long game that Jamie has.
Yeah.
I would have gotten my shot in there, I think.
So we see Jamie having the opportunity. There's the red source that he's been missing. Either Huntmaster or Olivia. We're going to see Olivia Voldaren.
Okay, well this is very good for Andrew now.
Andrew actually draws a Rancor as well. This is this is definitely a good turn for Andrew. He's going to be able to get in for 10, potentially 11 damage. So we see Cavern of Souls come into play, but keep in mind, Olivia can still take this game over.
Yes. I mean, I don't see how we just don't cast Thundermaw Hellkite here. There has to be. I guess we're Rancoring as well.
Yeah, this is going to be a Thundermaw plus Rancor turn.
Thundermaw Hellkite wasn't quite big enough, so I decided to put Rancor in my deck.
Yeah, is that the case? So this is an attack for 5/10. This is an attack for 12.
Yep.
It's going to put Jimmy down to 5.
Meaning that Andrew has 2 lethal attackers.
Yeah. So Jamie's going to have to draw some of that removal. He does have Ultimate Price. He has Dreadbore. Abrupt Decay is not going to save him. He definitely has some things that he can draw to, but he has to draw them.
Yep.
Thragtusk wouldn't be bad either. That's what we're going to see.
And Thragtusk is so much more powerful in the matchup in Jamie's deck than Andrew's, just because the life game, Jamie can incidentally take the game over. The life total matters not that much.
Yep.
But for Andrew, each Thragtusk Jamie draws is just a mess to try to slog through.
It's a pretty interesting draw there from Andrew. Excuse me. He draws us a Lesnian Charm, kind of trying to evaluate the board, see exactly what this can get done.
Well, that's just lethal, right? He attacks with everything, and then Thundermaw. There's no way that he can stop Thundermaw plus Lesnian Charm, right?
So that's an attack for Thundermaw's attacking for 7 minus 3. That's an attack for 4. Jamie is at 10. He's not at 5. So that's a big deal because of Thragtusk. Because of Thragtusk, yeah.
Okay, sorry, that didn't get. Yes. All right, that makes it slightly more complicated then.
Yeah. Kind of under consideration of does he get in with the Pilgrim? Does he?
Oh, he definitely has. He definitely gets in the Pilgrim.
Yeah. Feels like just a free shot.
Yeah, and if he blocks Olivia in front of the Pilgrim, then you can just. All right.
Yep. And Lesnian Charm's going to get it done with the +2/+2 and trample mode.
I'm not sure how Jamie tried to block there, but if you try to block in such a way to preserve his board at all, then he just dies that turn.
Yeah. And Olivia, oddly enough, not able to take over that game because Thundermaw Hellkite has a big butt. 5 toughness, so he could have tried the route of shoot it and take it, but
it's
not able.
Asking a lot.
Yeah.
When you're that under the gun.
So we're going to be going to game 3 here between Andrew and Jamie. And, I mean, that game, Andrew was able to keep 7 cards, much different than the first one, but also just get a clock started.
Yeah, and Jamie just didn't do anything. Just took some lumps. I'm actually curious what kind of handicap if his first play was turn 4 Olivia?
Turn 3 Nighthawk.
Oh, turn 3 Nighthawk. Right.
Traded with the Smiter, and then turn 4 Olivia, but Olivia, it's just not really great in that situation.
Yeah, just under the gun. Although Andrew drew a lot of his heavy hitter, so...
Now, one thing that I found in the coverage that I did both last week and this week, one of the cards that's led to a lot of wins in our current standard format, and it led to a decent, actually, I would say even more wins, at Pro Tour Barcelona has been Avacyn's Pilgrim.
Mm-hmm.
Just being able to get the ball rolling right away, where these decks start off pretty slowly, and this goes back to the point you made a couple rounds ago about Reckless Wave.
Yeah.
Again, not very different cards, of course, but be able to get the ball rolling right away and get them under the gun. We saw last match with Eric Lee playing Green-White Aggro, started with a turn 1 Avacyn's Pilgrim and was able to just play a turn 2 Strangleroot Geist, play something ahead of schedule, be able to play 2 spells in 1 turn. It seems like a really important card in the format for being, so innocuous.
No, I mean, these are the roles that, the mana creatures have always historically played. They actually seem much better to me in this format because there's a lot of ways to capitalize on a 1/1 creature, whether it's something like Sublime Archangel, Gavany Township, Rancor. These are all cards, Keswick Wolf Run, all of these cards are, there's plenty of stuff to do with a 1/1. And then it's facilitating all the stuff that you're talking about. I mean, when all the control decks are playing Farseek, they have a pretty, that implies they have a pretty scripted curve of how they want to play out their game. So jumping in front of them is even more important, assuming they're all in that sort of camp. So it's probably better mana fixing overall than Llanowar. Well, certainly for these decks, it's better mana fixing than Llanowar Elf because it's making a color you don't necessarily have.
Yeah.
And then there's just a million things to be doing with a 1/1.
Yeah.
So
it's an interesting card. It's very underwhelming. It's not in your face, powerful like Thrag, Tusk, and Restoration and everything. But every time you see one cast on turn 1, the opponent is immediately either on the back foot or the initiative has been taken away from them, and then things start happening ahead of schedule for the person with the Pilgrim, and then it's been leading to a lot of wins.
Did Andrew just go into his sideboard for a couple copies of Python Needle? I think that's what I just saw.
I didn't get a good look if he was reaching for Python Needle. I'm wondering why he would reach for it. I guess Olivia Voldarian is a big tip-off.
I still think that's Andrew's got to just, his best way to win these games are just by curving out as fast as possible. Trying to play a reactive game against Jamie is going to be pretty rough, especially since Jamie has Abrupt Decay. It's not even Python Needle doesn't even necessarily stick.
Yeah, and there's always the case of what if he doesn't draw Olivia Voldarian?
Yeah.
Then it's essentially a mulligan.
Yeah.
Because he certainly doesn't need Olivia Voldarian to be able to win. That's
right.
the thing.
Although I can kind of understand to a certain degree because Olivia is especially good against Andrew's deck. I mean, it is not a good card for him to be playing against. But I'm still not a fan of playing that narrow of a reactive card when your edge in the matchup is just from curving out and attacking efficiently.
Yeah.
Getting out in front of Jamie's removal spells.
No, I gotta agree with you 100% on that.
And this mulligan's really bad too, for all the obvious reasons. On top of, he also has these Python Needles that are in his deck now.
Yeah, which are like virtual mulligans, depending on the situation.
Yeah. And
looking through Jamie's deck list, I know you have it in front of you. Outside of Olivia, is there anything great to name with Pithing Needle?
Garruk Primal Hunter is fine, but he hasn't seen that card, and in my opinion, it's actually probably something Jamie should be sideboarding out here. And that is it. You can name Keswick Wolf Run, Garruk Primal Hunter, Olivia Voldarian, or Rakdos Keaton.
Make it so
no
3-1.
No 3-1.
No 3-1, but still acceleration.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ugh. Not great. Not great at all.
Python Needle is one of those cards where, unless it's for something super specific, every time I see a beatdown deck boarded in, and it looks like he just drew one of them, every time a beatdown deck brings it in, I'm like, that's a sideboard card for control decks. That's not a sideboard card for beatdown decks.
Yep. Again, as you said, unless it's for something super specific.
Yep.
I've played Python Needle back in my Kithkin days. I played it for literal one card, which was Seismic Assault from the Seismic Swans deck.
Yep.
Because I could never beat it. Other than that, I didn't want to be anywhere near it.
It appears that his hand is now 5 lands, Python Needle, and either Selesnya Charm or Smiter.
Not a good spot to be in this matchup.
Also without white mana, I think. I think he had to go to 5 cards here. I don't think that hand's you can play with.
He draws a Bonfire of the Damned, which not so much. Yeah, I agree with you. Just looking things.
Yeah, this is just not a capable 5-card hand. This is not a capable 6-card hand.
Now, granted, he's in a bad situation. Tough matchup. looking at the decision on going down to 5. But I think you take the opportunity to go to 5 and just hope that you get really lucky.
Yeah.
As we see a Vampire Nighthawk here from Jamie.
Another white card.
Andrew draws a Loxodon Smiter. Looking at a hand of uncastable cards, and I mean he can cast Pithing Needle.
Yep. I'll name. I don't know. Nothing, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. I can't even think of anything creative.
Yeah, I'm good.
Do I have to name? So we're gonna see.
I understand being gun shy to a certain point because, Andrew mulliganed to 5 game 1 and got crushed, but that hand needs so many running draws to be decent that I just don't. Ooh, Slaughter Games. I would assume we're naming
Pithing Needle.
Huntmaster of the Fells, maybe. Not sure what we named. I guess we'll find out in a moment.
In just a second, we shall.
I didn't name. Okay, Thundermaw Hellkite. I think there's 2 copies in that deck. Yeah, Thundermaw is definitely among the tougher cards for Jamie to answer efficiently, because his good answers to it are sorcery speed.
Yeah.
So it's definitely one of the more threatening creatures. Everything that doesn't have haste, he can sort of, he has
If you registered for
his removal works a lot better
number
against.
10, your event is ready to begin. Please come meet your judge at the stage. If you registered for $10 draft number 10, please meet your judge at the stage.
Also thinning Andrew's deck out, so putting more Pithing Needles in there to potentially be drawn. Have a Gavany Township. Vampire Nighthawk in for 2.
And just that.
Just
So
there you go.
No Olivia, nothing too
Ooh, a double white
dangerous.
spell.
Is that good? No? Yeah, just a tough man. It's interesting. Andrew's deck could very easily be Naya. He's going for this splash just for Slaughter Games on the sideboard. And while Slaughter Games is a pretty good card, as he just draw a Thragtusk, Gavany Township with no white right now, I don't know if Slaughter Games is worth extending your mana base for.
Yeah. It very much depends. There's some matches where that card's awesome, obviously, but you can't help but wonder with him with an overgrown tomb in play and a bunch of white cards in his hand, if this is just not the amount of power that he's getting out of Slaughter Games is not worth it.
As we see an Ultimate Price take care of the front end of Thragtusk, Beast token incoming. And also, as good as those colorless lands are, as he does have a Kessid Wolfront and Gavany Township in play, again, there are opportunity costs associated to playing those cards.
Yeah, especially if your deck's 4 colors.
Your draft is waiting for you.
We see Nighthawk coming across again. We're going to have some mana tapped here. We're going to see Dreadboard take care of the other half. Just leads me to believe that Jamie has plenty of removal in his hand, doesn't really mind anything.
Yeah,
going on.
I feel like there, if I'm in Jamie's position, I'm happy to just take that shot. Vampire Nighthawk and pushing your light total up and under no significant pressure. It also just sets up better bonfires down the road.
I agree. I think pulling the trigger on the Dreadboard is a little bit hasty. We can't really see the contents of his hands very well, but Vampire Nighthawk is basically making that Beast token a 1/1.
Yeah.
Or a 1/3. Andrew finally did draw a white mana. It was a Clifftop Retreat. So Loxodon Smiter is in play. Gonna try to make a game of it here.
Yep. Says go.
We'll see another Loxodon Smiter.
Okay, well, start hitting for 4, I guess.
And 4 ain't no joke.
And there's another Smiter.
It's a pretty good clock right now.
Yeah.
I mean, he's Vampire Nighthawk. One of the things it does not do is it doesn't really beat down all that well. He's only a 2-power guy. It does take a lot of hits to get the game over with.
Yeah, it's definitely a slow clock. I just can't. I'm just like struggling to figure out what could be in Jamie's hand. Not casting anything and
setting up a bonfire here.
no!
So we see a
overloaded Mizium Mortars.
We see an overloaded Mizium Mortars, which I haven't seen that for a little while, and it's a card when it was spoiled and released. I know Patrick Chapin wrote about it, and it's just being a very versatile removal spell. Haven't seen a ton of it, but it sure did look good there.
Oh yeah.
The overload cost there is 3 red, deals 4 damage to every creature instead of just the singleton one.
Yeah, there's a lot of control decks that won't necessarily be in the market for Bonfire because they don't want their mana constrained that way. And Mizium Mortars is also much more efficient at sweeping up the board, assuming that it's in your hand the whole time.
Yeah.
And it's also something that if you draw in your opening hand, you can just play it as Dreadbore on most early plays. As opposed to Bonfire, when it's in your opening hand, it just doesn't do anything.
There still is that bonfire over there in Andrew's hand. He's thinking, you know, am I going to pull the trigger? Use this bonfire just to take care of a Nighthawk?
I mean, he's going to cast nothing. His alternative is cast nothing instead. He appears to be resigningly setting aside his mana. Yep.
All right. 1 for 1 with bonfire. Kind of meh.
Yep. And that Vampire Nighthawk has already more than done its damage.
Yeah. So we're going to see Olivia Valderin now.
All right, well, Pithing Needle, it's time to shine. For Thragtusk, sure.
As well. All right.
Okay.
All right.
Can't ask for too much more.
Olivia Valderin on the screen for you guys, being hit with a Pithing Needle. Still a 3/3 that can attack, but a lot of that text that's on there has just been eliminated.
Yeah. Now there's simply a Rock of Carriage.
That's old school. Can we bring that on the screen? Is that Rock of Carriage?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see if we can find that.
Check Alpha.
Yeah. Our real winner. Oh, we couldn't find it. We're not gonna bring that up. That's too bad, so sad.
I assume we're just casting our Thragtusk here.
Yeah, I think it is gain 5 lifetime. Gonna bring Andrew up to 18. Oh, still can get in for 3.
Yep.
So it's going to push Andrew back down to 15 now.
Yeah, 18 to 15. Farseek.
Going to go searching away, and just, you know, this is one of the problems with you know, this type of deck historically. You know, people deemed it the rock in the past. Just you have to draw the right half of your deck. There's no manipulation. There's no card drawing.
Yep.
You know, Jamie could play in some versions of the deck do choose to play Underworld Connections, be able to draw cards. But some people opt, as Jamie has, for just, you know, more removal spells and more creatures. But, you know, you only get to draw 1 card a turn, so you need to draw, you know, the right cards in the right order for this deck to be successful.
Yes.
Right now we see him having a bit of difficulty. I mean, he's still ahead on life. Debatable if he's ahead on board at this point.
Yeah, a lot of your ways of pushing ahead are your sweepers. That's how you actually generate enough card advantage to, like, do anything. And was that a Restoration Angel?
That was a Restoration Angel. That's a very, very good draw.
Take care of your prize paperwork ahead of time. Undefeated players in this round.
As we see Thragtusk come across now, knocking Jamie down to 20. Restoration Angels can really change the dynamic of this game.
Yeah, I mean, again, he's got a he would ideally like to be a little bit conservative about this to avoid Mizzy Mortars or Bonfire blowing him out too badly, but there's part of him that would like to do it now just to be safe from having his Thrashers killed in response, and there's another part of him who also just doesn't want to like play into a main phase sweeper.
Yeah. All right, so in comes Olivia.
I assume we're just gonna Restoration Angel here now.
Yeah, I think you got to jump on in there. Yeah, okay.
Okay.
You see Restoration Angel interacting with Thratusk because only she knows how.
Okay, so that's gonna happen.
I'm just gonna go to 20. Olivia is actually gonna eat it. Andrew's actually, for how this game is going, as we see Huntmaster of the Fells, he's actually sitting pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, it's actually, it is fairly surprising. Again, I just have a difficult time thinking about what could be in Jamie's hand. Because he has Bonfire in his hand, it's not like he wants to sit on extra lands. He wants to play them if he has them. So
yeah.
Not really sure what could be going on over there.
And the further that we go, I mean, it's going to start to get to a situation where he needs to actually draw one of his Bonfires, because hardcasting one is just going to get more and more difficult because of Daugherty Township.
Yeah.
But in turn, that also begs the question, and I guess I'll ask this question to you, would you want to be using Daugherty Township, or would you want to be using Kessig Wolfrun and just trying to push through as much damage as you can?
A lot of it has to do with the exact way the clock breaks down. I would err on the side of trying to use Township, having seen Mizium Mortars.
Okay.
If just jamming your Wolf Run changes the clock, then that's one thing. But you also have to be just also jamming. The Wolf Run comes with the risk of him having instant speed removal in his hand, whereas Township's a hedge against that. So
okay.
I would err on the side of just using the Township.
Okay. As we see a Rancor be put on to Andrew's Thragtusk. And Andrew's coming across with a 7/3, a Beast Token, and a Restoration Angel, and threatening both Township and Kessig Wolfrun.
Open player Nikhil Shamwani. Nikhil Shamwani, please report to the scorekeeper.
So I think Jamie's just asking for confirmation on what lands he has and how much mana available before he blocks. My instinct would be to double block, not knowing what's in Jamie's hand, my instinct would be to double block the Thragtusk because you need to set up a sweeper.
Yeah, I agree.
Just double up on the Thragtusk. Yeah, and I think he just announced double block Thragtusk.
And that will take care of it. Well, attempt to take care of it, but we have a Selesnya Charm. So plan foiled.
Open player Alex Loret de Mola. Alex Loret de Mola, please report.
And now we're going to use our leftover mana to Wolf Run for 2.
So making the most out of his turn.
Yep.
Getting
so
as much damage as he can.
8. I count 13 coming in.
I think I see the same.
So that knocks Jamie down to 9, and Andrew also hedged a little bit against the sweeper too.
Where you at?
That was not Bonfire. Which means Jamie is probably just dead to Wolf Run plus. I guess he can still Mortars.
Yeah, Mortars would clean up everything. Leave him with a Beast Token.
There's
the
Mortars.
Mortars. Beast
Pretty
Token
good.
comes in. The Rancor goes back. Can't quite tell if it's enough. Especially if Andrew draws another white
5.
source.
No, well, I think Wolf Run might just be lethal. Yeah, Rancor plus Wolf Run kills him.
Okay.
Okay,
Jamie
yeah,
knows
yeah,
that. Okay.
Jamie knows, yep.
Got it.
So Andrew, on the strength of back-to-back Thragtusk Restoration Angel draws, able to muster enough power to get through Jamie's Jund control deck 2 games to 1 there in the 3rd game.
Yeah, a few favorable draws there. Had to keep a fairly mediocre hand, and that, I mean, drew out of it very well considering the starting 6 that he kept.
Yes.
So